Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and we're going to be closing off the series with the all-new Nissan Z. Nissan's actually coming to pick up the Z. I've had it for a week, and I just wanted to give you guys my final thoughts on the car and to really answer the question of should you buy the Z, especially over the Supra, considering the fact that Toyota is putting a manual transmission in the new Supra. And with that being said, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into the video. So first off, I feel like I got a really good test in with the new Nissan Z over the last week. I drove it in, well, beautiful sunshine like today. I also drove it in the rain. I used it as my grocery vehicle 2 days in a row, actually, to prove the practicality of the car. And so what I'm trying to say is I feel like I basically put it through every single situation that someone that would potentially buy one of these cars would put it in. And I also took it down a fun canyon drive as well. You guys saw that in my initial review with the Z. And so, yeah, again, I feel like I got everything in with the car that someone that is going to purchase this car would want to do with it. So here's what I have to say. First off, I think the new Z looks absolutely fantastic. Again, pictures and videos do not do this car justice. Everyone that has seen this car in person has just been completely amazed. Even people that work at the Toyota dealership that are going to be selling Supras that will compete against this car, they have actually said that they like this over the Z. I've had a few people say they like the Super styling more, but the majority of people have said that they like this styling more because it's just a little bit more simplistic with the design. And it has cool retro elements like the shape of the headlights, for example, right? The styling on the hood, just like the whole front end looks like the older Zs. Now, not the 350 or 370, that kind of like departed from Z styling, but right, the whole front end looks like the older Zs. And then same thing with the side. And like I've mentioned in my reviews of this car, they just did a really good job with keeping everything simplistic. Not a ton of fake vents, not a bunch of crazy body lines. They've just kept it simple, and especially the rear end. I've actually had a few people mistake this. They're like, hey, did you get, like, they thought it was like an older Z. They're like, oh, did you get an older Z and like basically modify it to make it look more modern? It's like, no, this is the new Z. So yeah, stylistically, over the Supra, I think it's a better looking car. And, you know, again, I think that over like 20, 30, 40 years, this car is going to age a lot better compared to the Supra because they've gone for that kind of like retro design with it. And then from an interior perspective with the new Z, this is where things are kind of all over the place from an opinion perspective. I really like the interior because, again, it's simplistic. Yes, there is a lot of switchgear from other, you know, Nissan models, and a lot of this is a carryover from the 370Z with a lot of the controls, right? So yes, there is definitely that, but I mean, the touch points, like the armrest feels nice, and this is actually soft touch here at the top if you want to rest your elbow here at the top. The door handle, I don't know, it looks cool. The mirrors also look cool, and they're blacked out, and the, you know, two-tone design roof on, or two-tone design on the roof is cool. And then the seats, again, they look fantastic. They're better looking than the Supra seats, and they're more comfortable. Now, these are plain black, but you can get like red seats if you want. You can get blue seats as well. And I've seen both in person, the red and the blue, and they look fantastic. And again, like I said, they're really comfortable with the padding. And then popping in, and yes, I am not wearing shoes today, you can get a manual straight out of the bag with this, which is pretty cool, right? And I think the shifter looks nice. Again, another one of the touch points that looks nice. The digital dash also looks really nice. The steering wheel, which you're going to be obviously touching all the time because it's a car, looks great. Infotainment system is easy enough to use. It's not the most like modern looking unit per se, but at the same time, like, it has a backup camera and I can hook my phone up to it, right? It's got Bluetooth. Like, that's all I really care about. And then it's cool with the analog gauges there on the dash. But the point I'm trying to make with the interior is it's very simplistic, and even though, again, there's a lot of switchgear from other Nissan models, this feels more unique than the Supra interior because, like, you've got like the Z logo, and there's not another Nissan that has that you can buy brand new that has an interior that's quite like this. Whereas I can get it in a BMW 2 Series, 3 Series, 4 Series, 5 Series, etc., 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 and I'm basically getting into the Supra interior. And so this looks better on the outside because it's more simplistic with the design, and the interior frankly feels slightly more special in the Supra because, like, there's nothing else out there on the market like this that you can buy from Nissan that looks like this, and Nissan isn't sharing this platform with another manufacturer like what Toyota's doing with the Supra. And you can get a manual straight out of the gate, right? We didn't have to have another manufacturer put a manual in a car for, you know, Nissan to be pressured to put a manual. Nissan knew that enthusiasts wanted a manual, so they did a manual right out of the gate. The only reason Toyota's putting a manual in the Supra is because this has a manual, and Toyota knows they were going to lose customers to that. I still think they are. I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video. But, you know, on the transmission, it's just amazing. And this is a point that I'm gonna quickly make, is if you're gonna get a new Z, get the manual. This is a very easy manual transmission to drive, so if you don't know how to drive manual, you can learn on this car, no problem whatsoever. Clutch actuation's fantastic. It's just super like snappy into the gates, and yeah, just get it over the automatic. I'm sure that Nissan will sell some automatics, right? They developed an automatic transmission for this car. Well, they're using the 9-speed in other cars, but anyways, this is the transmission to get. Just get this. Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. Get the manual. Don't even think about the automatic. If you're scared, just get someone to help you out that knows how to drive manual. I'm sure that you know someone that knows how to drive manual. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is the pricing. So this one's the performance, and fully loaded, it's going to sticker for $53,000. This is actually not the package that I would get on the new Z. I would get the base model Z because the base model Z still has the same, and let's pop under the hood to look at this, 400 horsepower engine as what this has. So let's see, under the hood of the Z, we've got the twin turbo 3-liter V6, goes through, again, either that 6-speed manual or 9-speed automatic. Get the manual. 400 horsepower, 350 pound-feet of torque. Now, this is the performance package. It doesn't give you any more performance out of the engine. You still have the same power outputs as what you get with the base car. Now, this performance package does add some nice stuff to the interior. It gives you these cool wheels with the brakes as well. But here's the deal. Most people that get this car are probably going to add their own custom wheels on it, and brakes are not that expensive, frankly. And so I would get the base Z with a manual transmission, and then just get aftermarket wheels and an aftermarket brake kit that you want based on the driving you're going to be doing, whether you're going to be doing just fun canyon driving or if you're going to be doing track driving, right? And so, yeah, that's kind of how I'd look at it that way. Another modification with the Z that I do is, and the base one, I don't think that it comes with a spoiler, so maybe spoiler that you'd add after the fact, but also this would look fine without the spoiler. Exhaust, definitely make sure that you've set aside some money for an exhaust because, well, you guys have seen my reviews. Now, it's not the best sounding car from the factory. That's something that the Supra does win at, is the exhaust note. But again, that's an easy fix. Make sure you have, you know, $1,000, $2,000 set aside for a exhaust with the Z. I don't know how much the exhausts are going to cost, but I figure $1,000, $2,000 is a safe enough bet that you'd be able to buy pretty much any exhaust with the Z. And now, let's just come full circle and finish this off. So I know that not everyone's going to agree with me on this, but I think that the new Z is going to end up being the sports car of the year and potentially of the decade, because we're going towards electric cars and hybrids, and well, those are not going to be nearly as exciting as, you know, a simplistic twin turbo V6 with a manual transmission. But seriously, I think that Nissan knocked it out of the park with the new Z. First off, it is actually affordable for solid performance. That's something that Toyota messed up with the new Supra, because if you want to get an affordable Supra, well, it's a turbocharged 4-cylinder that only comes with an automatic. If you want to get the fun, fast Supra, well, you can only get an automatic right now. You'll soon be able to get it in the manual, but it's extremely expensive. The base price of the inline 6 Supra is like the price of a Z fully loaded. A fully loaded Supra is over $60,000 nowadays, where you can pick up a Z with 400 horsepower and a manual transmission in the $40,000 price range. So Nissan just nailed it from that perspective. Like I said earlier in the video, stylistically, it looks amazing. Everyone so far that I've met, except for like a couple of people, have said that it looks better than the Supra. I feel like the interior, even though it has a lot of switchgear from other Nissan models, is more unique than the Supra because there's tons of BMWs with the Supra's interior and infotainment system and all of that. So this just feels like a little bit more of an occasion when you're inside the car, especially with that digital gauge cluster. Like, it just, again, it has that uniqueness factor that I really like with the car. And then from a driving perspective, it's more daily drivable than the Supra. It's more comfortable. Yes, it is a heavier car, and that's probably the reason why it's more comfortable, but it's more comfortable to drive on a daily basis, just as practical from a storage space perspective. Like I said, the only thing I'd change with the car is just have a better exhaust on the car. It does not sound great, but again, that's such an easy fix, and most people that get cars like this, they modify the exhaust anyways, so who cares? And yeah, like I said earlier in the video, my recommendation is don't get the performance version, save some money, get the regular version, and then just upgrade the wheels and the brakes yourself, and then upgrade the exhaust, and you'd have a really solid performance car. Again, even after the modifications, you'd still be less money than the Supra, and it's just a more daily drivable car. And again, that's the one that I would get. Again, this is coming from someone who owned a Supra for 6 months. I had a 2021 Supra, and I love that car, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the Z fixes a lot of my complaints that I had about the Supra in terms of it feeling a little bit more unique, having driving dynamics that are just absolutely phenomenal, but also being comfortable from a daily driver perspective as well. And seriously, I want to hit that like home, is the fact that yes, the Z is heavier than the Supra, and yes, on all the acceleration tests, it's slower than the Supra, but in real life, in real world conditions, and I'm at 4,500 feet elevation, it feels just as quick as the Supra. It handles just as well as the Supra. Like, I haven't taken this car in a situation where I've been like, oh man, I feel like I need a little bit more. It's like this, it feels perfect in every single situation. And so I really don't see the point in spending the extra money for the Supra unless you're just a super fanboy, frankly. That's it. If you're just looking for the best value, the Z has that. And so, yeah, that's what I think. Now let's get some things up for our video series on the new Nissan Z. I know that I pumped out quite a few videos with this series, but again, I'm one of the first people that's had a chance to live with the car, and so I figured you guys would want to hear as much as possible, especially if you're on the fence with ordering it. Like I said, go in and order one. Recommend it 100%, especially over the Supra, considering the price point they've put the Z at. I'm hoping that this will potentially bring down the pricing on the Supra. I doubt it, but that would be cool if they made the Supra slightly more affordable with similar power outputs so that it's more competitive with the Z. But again, I'd order it in base format, and I'd have some money aside for wheels, tires, brakes, and an exhaust. And trust me, you will absolutely love the car. And I'd recommend going in and getting on a list now rather than continuing to wait, because there's already quite a bit of demand for the Z because there's been a lot of content made about this car. But I promise you, as soon as the full production cars are out in the world and people are seeing them and people are driving them, demand is going to skyrocket even more because people are going to realize the value that this car is. And then it's going to be probably, I'm not saying that Nissan's not good with producing a lot of cars, but I'm saying that demand is going to be so high, it's probably going to be difficult to keep up with it from a production standpoint. And so then you're going to be in that situation where you're probably going to have to wait several years. I bet this car is going to be similar to, like, you know, the Ford Raptor, for example, where there's just way more people that want the truck than what Ford is able to build with the truck. And so, yeah, go in and get yourself on a list now before it's too late. I'll see all of you guys in the next video.